Hi there, this is Dylis Guyan and welcome to the Inspired Selling Podcast, the place where business owners and salespeople discover how to attract, convert and keep more of their ideal clients. And I have got a fabulous guest for you today. I have Dianna Geairn. Now, Dianna focuses solely on helping businesses turn more trade show leads into deals. And she focuses solely on that. And she really is top of her game. And because most companies don't bring home enough deals to justify the enormous expense of exhibiting, she shows them proven and innovative strategies to help them to create the winning strategy before the show, to dominate at the show, and to generate and turn leads into deals when they get home and back to their offices. And I am excited to talk to Dianna and really take a deeper dive and get insights from her, because I know from my clients that this is one of the areas that they really struggle with. They spend a lot of time going to shows, but they don't come home with much to show for it. So Dianna, welcome. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you with us today.
Thank you, Dylis. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
Excellent. So let's just dive straight in then, Dianna. So for those maybe who are not familiar with trade shows, maybe they've never been before, and they really would like to get involved, could you just explain to us what a trade show is?
Sure. So every industry has their own events, and some people call them summits, some people call them expos, some people call them conferences, and some people just call them the traditional trade show. And what a trade show is all about is it is sort of a stand-up marketplace that happens over a period, sometimes a week, sometimes 2 to 3 days. But it's a place where experts come together. You usually have speakers and sessions and educational tracks that you can learn a little bit more about the specifics of your industry. But one of the elements of a trade show is there's usually an exhibit hall, Dylis. So I know you've been to many of these, but what an exhibit hall does is it allows companies who serve the industry that the conference or summit or expo is all about to sort of exhibit their wares. So in a way, it's sort of a mini shopping mall that gets put up over, and sometimes they're not mini at all, sometimes they're ginormous.
Yes.
But it's sort of an opportunity for you to stand up your store, put your best foot forward, and demonstrate what your product and service is all about to the industry that you're serving.
So why should anyone consider going to one of these? Because, you know, people might go, oh yeah, trade shows, exhibitions, this is going to cost us a lot of money. It's going to cost us a lot of time. So why should they even think about going?
Well, that's a great question, because you're absolutely right. Some of these conferences are enormously expensive, but the reason they're expensive is because there is such value to be gained from participating. So there are a number of reasons to go, and I think it's important as you're determining what shows or what summits that you want to go to, what your objectives are. And I know, Dylis, that you talk a lot about this with your clients of, you know, let's start with the end in mind. Let's talk about what are the objectives that you're trying to accomplish. So what's really brilliant about trade shows is there are so many objectives that you can accomplish all at the same time, which can make the spend really worth it. So one of the things that's important about a show is you get to go and you get to listen to the latest trends. You get to hear what the thought leaders are speaking about. And why that's important is, first of all, it can be enormously just personally fulfilling if you really are into your industry and you get to hear these new inspiring thoughts and these new trends. It makes you a better professional. But then you can bring that value back to your clients, right? So I'm sure one of the things that you talk about a lot with your clients is the way to get your customers' attention is to bring them new insights.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, so you can pick up all these wonderful insights. But that's kind of fluffy because what we're talking about with Trade Show Makeover is how do you come home with more leads and deals that those leads turn into deals that justify the spend. So if you can get more meetings because you can bring insights, fantastic. But I don't know how many of your sellers take advantage of opportunistic selling, but opportunistic selling is ripe at a conference because there are a number of different areas where you can run into your ideal customer. And I say run into in air quotes because, you know, you can be very intentional and deliberate about the people that you want to meet at a trade show. And I speak with executives all the time that will give me interviews that will tell me, you know what, I will ignore your email. I will ignore your voicemail. I will not take your offer for a 15-minute conversation. And I certainly don't want you coming into my office and wasting my time. But I'm at the trade show to make that connection. And a lot of these people are men and women executives are showing up with checks, ready to write with your vendor. So, and I'm talking about 6- and 7-figure deals get done at trade shows if you didn't write.
And I think a real sort of strong point that you've made there is that you've in a way got a captive audience that you don't have that opportunity anywhere else. And I know from trade shows and expos that I've been to, and I've spoken at a lot of expos, that, you know, I have met people that I would never have met had I just gone through the normal channel of, you know, connecting on social media, sending an email, whatever. And you have that face to face, and you end up, in fact, really being quite so connected that I've had people on my show from meeting them at expos. Some really big thought leaders from around the world I've had on the show as a guest. Not all of them. I haven't met them all from trade shows, but I have met a number of them. And I think it's an absolutely fantastic way to get in front of your ideal clients and have that captive audience.
Well, I agree with you. And, you know, as we move more into a digital world of selling, and, you know, there's all this speak about how AI is going to take all of our jobs, which the reality is a human-to-human, face-to-face interaction has a much higher value. The more that we have that digital kind of experience being the norm, it's not the norm anymore for everybody to hop on a plane and go see their prospects in their territories, right? It's really the norm to start with a digital conversation or start with a telephone conversation. So the value of face-to-face and the value of human-to-human selling is getting exponentially higher. And what most people don't realize, I think this is an important number, so I want people to perk up and listen to this. My CMOs tell me that they're constantly measuring what is the cost per appointment, what is the cost to acquire a client. If you do trade shows well, you can reduce the cost per appointment, and a face-to-face appointment at that, by 40%. Wow. If you do the work before, during, and after that is appropriate. But here's where people fall down on the job, Dylis, because you could preach all day long, prepare or follow up. Everybody knows that that's what you should be doing. So that's not really helpful. But most people find that they don't know what to plan, when to plan, or how to plan. And then on the back end, they don't know what to do, when to do it, or how to do it with your follow-up so that it's effective. And those are the things when you just break those 3 things down, what, when, and how to do each of those activities, then you can start to really reap the benefits from your investment.
Yeah, and that is exactly it. And when I talk to my clients, they tell me exactly that. I don't know what, I don't know how to prepare and so on. So, and I know that you're going to talk to us in much greater detail. So come and tell us about your create, dominate, and generate. I love those 3 words. And could you explain each one and expand on each one? And if you could give us examples, that would be even better.
Oh, I'm happy to do that. So what we find is, I'm sure it's a little bit of an idiom, but you know, a confused mind says no, right? Yeah. So in our training, there's so many elements to a trade show that it could get overwhelming. So we really like to break it down into very simple, easy to digest, and easy to implement, which is the most important thing, little bite-sized pieces. So create is all about creating the winning strategy. Dominate is all about dominating at the show, dominating your plan. And then generate is all about return on investment and turning those leads into deals. And just to expand a little bit on them, Create is, it's actually a process that we've developed. It's our own proprietary process of first evaluating what are the shows that you should be going to. Do you know, like, are your ideal customers going to be there? And then should you exhibit at the show or should you walk the show? Sometimes attending the show is your better bet. Sometimes exhibiting is more important. So kind of working through those things, and then budget planners, and exactly what you talk about is, what is our goal and what is our intention? Is there a product that we've launched that we really want to get visibility for and start taking orders for that maybe the marketplace doesn't know about, and this is a perfect opportunity for us to put that foot forward? So that's what Create is all about, is really create that winning strategy. And almost everything about a trade show happens in the Create section. How you're going to follow up, the marketing emails that you're going to send afterwards, who the leads are going to go to, how they're going to get distributed, all of those things, if you think through them at the beginning, it just puts a process into place, and then you do the, you just run the machine and it works.
Yeah, and actually,
go ahead.
If I could just make a point, I think you know that I do a lot of speaking, and I speak at a lot of expos, and I'm always offered a stand, but I never take a stand. So beforehand, I go around and I see who's there, and I have a chat to some people and tell them that I'm going to be speaking and, to come along and so on. But I get a feel for who's there. And then when I finished, did you say walk the hall? Is that what you said?
I said walk the floor, but same
walk
thing.
The floor. Yeah. And that's what I do. I walk the floor, and I go and I talk to people, and I love meeting people, and I love hearing about their businesses. And it's such a fantastic opportunity, because everyone there, they're all business owners at one level or another, and it is just a really great opportunity. And I'm not sure that enough people think about walking the floor.
Well, Dylis, you're pointing to something very interesting, because the trade show organizers do not want us to have this conversation, because they need the exhibitors, right? And so one of the clients that we work with are trade show organizers, so that they are retaining more exhibitors, and they're offering their exhibitors more value. And mostly what they just need to do is offer some more training. But the organizers are strapped. I mean, they've got a million different things to manage. So they rely on us to do the work with their exhibitors, so that their exhibitors know what to get from the show. Because there are certain things that you'll be able to ask for and get from one show that wouldn't be appropriate in another show, right? So when you really learn how the show works and what it's designed to do, then you can be appropriate with your exhibiting, so that it really does turn into cash for you. But you're right. Some shows, it's the best thing for you to walk it.
But even if you had a stand, there could be a few of you from the same company, and one could man the stand and the others could walk the floor.
Well, that's perfect. That leads right into dominate. At the show.
Excellent.
So one of the big mistakes that we see that most people make is they don't bring enough people, and they don't bring the right people to the show. And we can talk just, I don't want to go too much in the weeds on it, but you should always have a senior person of your company at the show. You should have your product marketing manager or your marketing manager at the show. And you should have a top salesperson at the show, but you should also have a newbie at the show. You can ramp a salesperson so much faster at a show in your industry, get to know the competition, get to know what people are talking about. You can ramp your salespeople so much faster. And we know that one of the biggest expenses that any company has is how long it takes to ramp a salesperson. Plus, if you get them all excited,
music to my ears,
right? And if you get them all excited, and they're sitting there with the senior manager, and they understand their competition, and they see the bigness, and then they close a deal from the trade show, now you're retaining that salesperson. So it's really good to have the right mix, but like you said, be opportunistic about it. Have people at the booth and have people walking the floor. You can cover all of it. That's dominating at the show. It includes social media strategies. It includes content strategies. It includes, booth that sells for you. But that's what dominate at the show is all about, just what you said.
So Just talk to us for a moment then about approaching, because that must be the dominate bit too, is it? Where people are approaching someone that they don't know, or someone, or actually we can talk about these two things. In fact, we could talk for probably 3 hours. We've got half an hour, so we'll do our best. But so I'm just looking at the practicalities of this. So you're at your booth and there are people passing. Let's first off start with that. How would you stop someone professionally to have that conversation with you?
Oh, this is such a great conversation, Dylis, because it really comes back to the prep, right? So your salespeople and the people at the booth need to be prepped on the questions that they're going to be asking of the people that they meet. And those, we're not going to go into the weeds on the questions, but the questions are all about making sure that the person that you're talking to is a qualified buyer. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to be rude if they're not, but
Yeah.
you know, asking very targeted questions that help somebody get very comfortable and sharing with you what their interest is in being at your booth. Mm-hmm. This is now your home, right? You're inviting people into your home, which means that you are not going to wrangle them and scan their badge, because that would be rude. You're going to invite them in, you're going to be gracious, and you're going to be clear. And I think this is something that's really missing. You're going to be clear that you are in business to do business. Mm-hmm. And I think that if we could just have people come with, just change that one attitude about trade shows is, we're in business to do business, and it's okay to ask business questions now. But if you're really good, you'll be prepared for the people that you expect to be at the show and know exactly what's going to happen. And the team can be on high alert. So you'll probably have 2 or 3 people from an enterprise organization that you know that if you had an opportunity to sell to them and have the proper conversation, that that you would do well at the show. So you can have signals with your team like, VIP is here and it's on, right? And you're already orchestrated, you're already prepared, and it can be a very elegant dance. But the first and most important thing is understanding the questions that you're going to ask and why you're going to ask them. And then the other thing is no selling. Mm-hmm. We teach our clients that your exhibit is a discovery zone.
Thank the Lord.
No pitching your product on the floor, unless somebody's there for that conversation and you've set that up ahead of time. Otherwise, you're in a discovery zone. It is perfectly appropriate for you to ask to set a meeting for after the show, but let people relax into the experience of your brand. You very rarely get the opportunity to share that experience of your brand, except for in person like a show.
And if you start selling and talking product too soon, and as you know, I call that peeing too soon, talking product
That's so
too
perfect.
Soon, you really, it's what I call pebble dash selling, because you're just regurgitating everything about your product and hoping against hope that something will stick. And you don't even know what the gap areas are. What are the challenges? What are the problems? What are the impacts of those? You know, and I'm loving this. This is absolute, as I said to you before, music to my ears, because it just reiterates my deep feeling about professional selling. It's not about product dumping. It's about understanding your client. And that's why the questions are so very important, isn't it?
Well, it is. And, you know, Dylis, I think you're pointing to something really critical is, as salespeople, the hardest thing that we have to do is to really understand what our buyer's life looks like. And if you can just take a moment and get into somebody's shoes about what it would be like to walk into a busy booth and be sort of attacked with product, you would know immediately that that isn't what you should be doing if you just thought about how you would want to be treated or what you want to discover. So I think you're right. I think that product dumping is not what your client wants.
So we've covered the person who's passing and you're going to invite them in. How about when you have got people who have stopped? So they are interested because they've stopped at the booth. And I understand it's the same sort of question, but could you give us some examples?
Well, it's a little bit different. So I think that's an excellent question. So the first thing is when you're at your booth, I think you've seen this at trade shows, it's very common to watch everybody like this. Mm-hmm. Everybody's like this. Do not be like that. Be open, be welcoming, these are your guests in your home. And once they're in your home, then they've really given you permission to have a conversation with them.
Yeah. It's
kind of like when you're cold calling somebody and you ask that critical question, may I interrupt you? May I have a moment of your time? Mm-hmm. They have stepped into your home, and so they have invited a conversation. And now there's just to really understand what's interesting to you here. Mm. What brought you here?
Yeah. And just
listen.
Yeah. And listen to understand, not just to hear. There's so many people pretend they're listening. In fact, I don't think some people even pretend they're listening. They just don't listen. But really listening to understand and being engaged, being fully engaged with the person is so critical.
Well, it's right. And there's actually a very beautiful dance that you can do at a trade show, because with any luck, your booth is swarmed with people, right? The right people. Mm-hmm. But it's a show. Anybody can come into your booth. Anybody can be curious. It could be a competitor. Yeah. It could be somebody who's kicking the tires. It could just be somebody who thought that game that you've got going on in your booth is really interesting. So as a very accomplished networker, and these are important skills to learn, it is appropriate to have a conversation with more than one person at a time. Include a group. Mm-hmm. It is appropriate to have people set up so that if there's a VIP, that you can gracefully turn to another conversation. And to learn those skills is important, and to learn the skills of how for one person of the booth to come and indicate that it's time for you to come have a conversation over here. Like all of those social graces of hosting an excellent party or managing a busy schedule with different people with competing priorities is something that I think none of us ever really master, but it is something that is all appropriate at a show, and you should learn how to do those things. And that's one thing that we teach our clients how to do in the booth. But then you're right, absolutely listen to understand, because Dylis, what you're pointing to is anytime somebody says something or anytime somebody asks a question, there's a commitment behind that question. Like I don't ask you if I'm dropping my child off at daycare, I don't ask you what time lunch is because I need to know that it's going to be 12 o'clock instead of 12:30. I'm interested in what my child's experience is going to be like throughout the day, and that they're going to get fed at a time that's going to be satisfactory to them. So there's a commitment behind somebody's question. And when you listen to understand, then you start to dig into what that commitment is. And then you can really start to see very quickly if there's an opportunity for you to do business together.
Yes, indeed. So that leads me on to another question, where you have the people who come to the booth who want to dominate. So they want to take all of your time. How do you gracefully and professionally move that person on without offending?
Oh, the vampire.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with any luck, you do have a product or a service, or you're an industry that people are very passionate about and really want to talk and dig into the details. And this is where I think it really is okay for you to remember that you're in business to do business. So those people deserve your attention and they deserve your time. And it could be that you have, maybe you're a salesperson and you have somebody with you who's very technical. And an excellent way to take care of that person who wants to have that deep conversation about everything that's never going to lead to a sale is to politely say, here's somebody in our booth who has so much more expertise about this and would love to speak with you about that. And if your product person, your technical person is available, what an excellent use of their time. Mm-hmm. Now, another person comes in, they are a buyer, and they do need technical specs. Now you go to your product person who's now all caught up with the vampire, God love them, and you say, oh, this is so perfect that you're having this in-depth conversation about the technical aspects of our company. Could I please include so-and-so in this conversation because this is something that they're trying to implement in their own company. So always giving people the grace of that they're there and they're important, but your goals are important also, and use the asset, use the people in your booth as a resource.
Yeah. Excellent. That's really good advice, because I know a lot of people get hung up with that. It's and I know this is a different activity, but networking is very similar in that you can get caught up with someone, but often you don't have the opportunity to sort of feed them off to someone else, although you could make an introduction to someone. But that is really great advice in terms of being at the expo or the trade show and just being able to move the person over gracefully with kindness. It's not about just being rude to people and getting rid of them quickly. You've got to treat everyone with respect. So that's brilliant. So let's have a look now at Generate. So now we've welcomed people into the booth, or or people have come into the booth and we've had our conversation, and as we're in business to do business, we've sorted out the wheat from the chaff in a very graceful and respectful way. And now we've got some business cards, or we've got some people who are saying, yes, I would like to find out more.
Yeah.
What is your advice in terms of that aspect of the whole process?
Well, here's where the machine really kicks into high gear, Dylis. So if you've done Create well, then you know the plan. When you get home, everybody knows their job. And this is actually what's really brilliant about bringing the right team to the show, is that everybody at home is invested and they know their part. It's not just the marketing team. It's not just the sales team. There's your operations team. There's your tech team. There's everybody who gets into high gear. You've done all the planning ahead of time. You share your goals with the entire company. So when you get home, it's like you've come home from the hunt, right? And everybody's ready to skin the deer, and it's a very bad analogy. But my point is that trade shows are a group effort. They are about the whole company, and the whole company should be asking you how to go. Now you get home, and every lead is not created equal. Every business card is not the same value to you. So you've got to have a system ready. And if you're a small organization, you can do it. And if you're a complex organization, you can have all the technology to do it. Do not get overwhelmed by what I'm about to say to you. But when you have a simple system and you know how it's going to go when you get home, you know who the high quality leads are going to go to. They've been qualified as you prepared to do. They go to the right salespeople. They go into a funnel. Some of them go into a marketing nurturing funnel. Some of them get an email right away. If you're doing your business really smart, you've got some tools that you've already got set in motion while you're at the show, where you're emailing people right away. One thing I really like to do is bring my handwritten thank you notes. I always send a handwritten thank you note. I'm sorry, it may sound old fashioned, but I get so much attention from this.
Love it.
And I bring them, I write them on the plane. I write them I have stamps and envelopes, and I'm just ready to go with that. So if you're ready to go on your leads, then you're going to be able to convert more of those into deals. Now, I do think that there is a misconception about leads going cold. So I hear this a lot. I got home from the show, I had this great conversation. Well, you got home from the show, and what did your life look like? It's the same thing for your customer. They have to dig out also. So they're probably going to miss your first email. There used to be the rule of 7, where it takes 7 touches for you to engage your buyer. In some industries like SaaS technology, it's closer to 13 or 15 today. The reality is you're giving up too soon.
Yeah.
You're just giving up too soon. And you're worried about being a bother. The reality is, Dylis, and I always say this, is your prospects are counting on you to find them.
Yeah. And I talk about it being your duty. It is your duty to give your prospective customers the opportunity to say yes or no, not right now. It is not it shouldn't be your decision to say I'm giving up too soon.
It's not, and we're so like-minded about
I get on my soapbox about this because there is so many people give up too soon. And because if you give up too soon, you're leaving your prospective client in the situation with the problems that they had without your product or service, that product or service could solve and make their lives much better, make their businesses much better.
You are preaching to the choir. That is exactly right. You know, if you really believe that your product or service makes a difference for your clients and their business, then it's your job to get their attention. It's your job to get their attention.
And you have to do, you know, pick up the blinking phone, leave a voicemail and get back to them. But, you know, keep going until they say no, yes or no, not right now. And even if it's no, not right now, then you can fix your next step and say, right, can I contact you again in a month, 3 months, 6 months, whatever is appropriate for your industry. You know, we are certainly singing from the same hymn sheet.
Well, Dylis, I don't know about you, but I have never known anyone who died when someone told them no on the phone.
Exactly. And neither have I ever met anyone who said no to a salesperson that has thought about it every day following. They have not given it another thought.
It's over. 5 minutes later, it's over.
Exactly. And you know,
now we'll obsess about it. You know, we'll get 5 yeses and scheduled meetings all day long. But man, that no, we're gonna think about it. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna reminisce about it. Just let it go. They let it go too.
Exactly. Exactly right. Yeah. So and I love that. It's prioritize your leads because they're not all of the same value, and then make sure that you're getting in touch, that there isn't any such thing as leads going cold.
No, and you know, there are really some really very savvy ways to use technology, free technology. I've been working a lot with clients that are using video prospecting when they get home. So they'll have a video all ready to go. And when somebody expresses some interest, they'll shoot them off the email with the video right away. And then they can gauge who's opened the video and watched it and how much of the video they've watched. Those leads go to the top, right? Those
is that BombBomb that you're referring to?
I haven't heard of that tool. The one that I'm referring to is Go Video by Vidyard. But there are a number of really sophisticated free video tools. And like you already know this because you're on YouTube with your podcast. And I have a show called The Sellout Show that is also on YouTube. But video is where you got to be. And if you're uncomfortable with it, get comfortable with it because your competition's going to.
Yes, and this is the thing. You have to just get comfortable with it. Brilliant. Yeah. Dianna, I could talk to you all day, and I'm sure some of our audience would like to know more and to find out more about you. So how can they get in touch with you?
Terrific. So we are at www.tradeshowmakeover.com. And who we serve, Dylis, are people who are attending shows that want to bring home more leads, more deals from their leads that they can pick up just by walking the floor. We serve exhibitors, and we also serve the trade show organizers. Many of the organizers that we work with tell us that before we start working with them that their retention rates of their exhibitors are 50% or less, which means every single show they need to start from scratch to fill up that exhibitor hall. So if you can increase retention, and we can kind of do that on a mass scale with them, that's been really, really powerful for their show. So that's who we serve.
Fantastic. Do you have any free resources at all, Dianna?
Well, it's funny you should ask. We just last month did a 3-day summit that has 30 sessions from sales experts, exhibiting experts, marketing experts, CEOs, stuff that not the usual suspects either. I mean, the people that really do this stuff every day and turn leads into deals. And all of those sessions, if you join us on our exclusive Facebook group, which you can find by searching Trade Show Makeover, come knock on the door and we'll let you in until the end of, well, for you, the end of January. Just say Dylis sent me. and we'll do it for the end of January.
Yeah, fantastic.
But all 30 of those sessions are free to you to watch.
Wow. Wow. That is incredible.
Yeah, they're good.
Straight over as soon as we finish this call, and looking for TradeShow Makeover on Facebook.
Yes.
So, Dianna, thank you once again. It's been absolutely fabulous talking to you, and I love the depth of knowledge that you have from your own experience. So this isn't textbook. This is years of experience in the sales arena, in the B2B sales arena, and it certainly shows through. So thank you once again.
Well, I just love being on a show called Selling. I think selling can be very inspired. So I'm really happy to have joined you, Dylis. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much. Bye for now.
Bye.